Thanks for joining me as we explore some amazing locales here in the Windy City. Even though Chicago is the third largest city in the country, there are some amazing outdoor spaces and indoor spaces to explore. Take this place, for instance, 2.5 acres under glass. Now, that's not a series of containers of plants. This is a planted landscape. To learn more about it, why don't we catch up with my friend Mary? A big thank you to Gilbert H. Wild & Son, Sun Patience, Arkansas Parks and Tourism, Ralston Family Farms, First Community Bank, and Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. These tours would not be possible without them. Check out our sponsor page on my website, pallensmith.com, for more information. Mary, this is such an astonishing place.
Well, this is the gem of the conservatory, really. This room is the most intact room from its start in 1908. These plants were here long before any flowering plants were on the planet. So these are some of the earliest plants on Earth.
So many of these plants literally go back to the Jurassic period, which would be 200 million plus years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For instance, right here we have a cycad.
Wow, look at that one.
Isn't that amazing?
It's a huge specimen.
These plants are over 300 years old.
Oh my gosh.
This plant. That's what's so cool about this room.
Look at these ferns over here.
Yeah, we have about 150 different kinds of species of ferns.
Really?
I mean, that's just ferns alone.
I love the way Jensen designed this, and that you're walking down these hallways of ancient plants.
Yeah, he was a genius. He stratified these rocks so that it would look like ancient Illinois. This is what basically the geology from around here is.
So this is really what Illinois would have looked like 200 million years ago?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And notice that you have this sculpture here in the pond.
Yeah, we have art exhibits here as part of the work that we do.
How nice.
We ask that the artists somehow relate to the plants. So you can see that there's some leaf shapes within this sculpture.
Right. I love that combination of art and nature.
Yeah, because it helps people understand the nature a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Just marvelous.
My name is Robin Klein. I am the Assistant Director of Programs and Interpretation here at the Garfield Park Conservatory. We're standing in the middle of the conservatory in one of our newest rooms, Sugar from the Sun. Sugar from the Sun is a room that we designed to really showcase for folks the miracle that plants are. I think we see plants around us all the time, and we're not really aware of all the amazing things that they're doing. Like right now, we're standing in the middle of this room and plants are making sugar. You get to see what the plants did with a lot of their sugar. They sunk it into their fruits. So this is where a lot of plants store their sugar, is in the fruits of their trees. So here's a plant that a lot of people actually probably thought did grow on trees, but actually grows straight from the ground, kind of on its own little pedestal, the pineapple plant. And this is the pineapple in its early stage of growth, and it'll probably get to about here as long as it can balance on top of its area for long enough. We have a lot of the tropical fruits that people, think of when they think of plants that are at conservatories. But one of the things that we're really, really happy to have is a vanilla orchid. And recently our vanilla orchid actually fruited, and we were able to get lots of fruit from our vanilla orchid. And you can see them up there, banana-shaped pods that when they dry, they turn into these sort of brown pods. And on the inside, you'll see these tiny, tiny little seeds. And a lot of people will recognize these from when they get French vanilla ice cream. You see those little brown seeds in your ice cream. One of my favorite flavors, which is cinnamon, actually comes straight from the bark of a tree. So we have a cinnamon tree here. The flavor that we know, that spicy, yummy flavor that goes in our cinnamon rolls, actually comes from the ground up bark of the cinnamon tree. Another tree that we actually eat different plant parts from is the chewing gum tree, When people originally discovered chewing gum, or when they chewed gum in its original form, it was coming from the sap of the chewing gum tree, and we have a chewing gum tree here as well. There are other parts of plants that we commonly eat that aren't part of the fruit of the tree. There's sugarcane, which is actually the stem of the plant. When we're eating sugar, we're actually eating juice that's been squeezed out of a stem of a plant. The fact that plants are taking the energy from the sun and turning it into chemical energy, what an amazing miracle it is.
One of my favorite cities to visit is Chicago. I think one of the reasons is it's so green and there's so many things to do. I like to make it a point to visit the Chicago Botanic Garden whenever I'm in town, and last summer was no exception. Director Chris Jarentowski talked to me about the overall layout of the gardens. You know, what is there not to love about annuals when they look like this?
Well, this is a circle garden, and this is one of the areas where the Botanic Garden does feature annuals in a backbone of evergreens, and we change this out every spring, every summer, and then we tweak it for fall. So it's a real changeable, very colorful garden.
Well, it has to be one of the most popular areas, although relative to the larger garden and all the other gardens here, it's relatively small.
It's very popular. We have 2 secret gardens in this garden also that people love to visit, so it's right up there with the Japanese garden and English wall garden.
Now, do you have a favorite space out here?
No. It's like, what's your favorite kid?
They're all your children.
They're all great. Depends on the time of year too. You know, the rose gardens peak from June on. You know, the Japanese garden great in winter. It keeps changing all the time.
It seems like you all have something going on out here in every season.
Well, we do. The garden changes drastically from season to season, and we're open 365 days a year. And the greenhouses are great January, February, March.
Now, Chris, you've seen this garden grow over the years. What is it that makes you the most excited about being here?
I think it's watching the interaction of plants and people, seeing people enjoy it. And one of the things the Chicago Botanic Garden believes is that beautiful gardens and natural areas are important to the physical and mental well-being of people. We think that people taking care of gardens, creating gardens and maintaining them, leads to a better life, a more satisfying life. And you can see it in our visitors. Beauty makes a difference. They love it.
And there's so many different garden experiences here. I mean, it's hard for me to figure out which one is my favorite.
Correct. We have 24 different display gardens, 4 natural areas. We have a good master site plan which really ties everything together with a certain vocabulary of materials.
Well, I have to say that I'm taken away by one of your newest features, and that's the rooftop garden in the new Science Center.
Well, rooftop gardens or green roofs are very popular now, and Chicago is really well known for that. And so, like our other display gardens, we want to show a good example, but also it's a evaluation garden. So we're not only showing a great example of a green roof, we're evaluating plants to expand the palette of plants that can be used on green roofs.
You know, there really is something here for everyone. The more recent high-tech green roof all the way to growing your own food.
Well, we're kind of an entrance to the entire plant world. And as you mentioned, growing your own food is popular now. The locavore movement, the organic gardening movement. So we have 4 acres and nothing but edible plants for the public. If you're interested in cultural landscapes, the Japanese garden, English wall garden. So we have something for everybody, really. Whether you just want to walk around with friends and family and enjoy a great site, or whether you're a serious student of bonsai or horticultural therapy or conservation biology, it's all here.
Well, keep up the great work.
Thanks a lot.
Last summer, while on a trip to Chicago, I had a chance to tour a very inspiring garden. The Peterson Victory Garden is a community project with a surprising history. Barbara Kirchner tells us more.
This was originally a victory garden, a World War II victory garden from 1942 to 1945. We've got 162 plots. Our gardeners have all come together and built it, and now they're growing together. Whenever somebody's going to be away for a few days, we help each other water and take care of weeds and whatever. This has actually been a great community building project. For years, people have lived on the same block as other people and didn't even know them. Now they're gardening together. It's like one big band of brothers and sisters gardening together. We have children coming in here from really small toddlers on up that are helping. Some of the people have been very innovative with their ways of trellising plants. We've got one over there that has an old wooden rocking chair that they wired up. There's a plot over there that somebody very cleverly grew sunflowers to trellis up their beans. It's just beautiful. Some of them took bamboo poles and made teepees that they're using for trellises. It's just been great. I'm growing 2 different kinds of eggplant. I've got several different kinds of peppers. I have over here, I've got Swiss chard. I've got some potatoes growing, some basil, oregano, rosemary. I hope it continues forever. It's been really good for everybody. Everybody's learning about gardening. Everybody's learning about eating fresh foods and the values involved there, and just how great it is. We also have plots for the food pantry that are up on the Peterson Avenue side. All along there, those are all food pantry plots. I think this is a really great way for people to come together and be proud of their community and learn from it as well. We're also meeting people from other community gardens as well, and we're finding out just how many there are around this city. It's becoming popular.
Let's take a look at some little goats in the big city.
Crosses. They're 3 years old. This is their second brood of babies. They both had 2 sets of twins this year. When we started this, our objective it remains 3 things, which is to inspire, to educate, and to relate to the neighborhood. So we basically would like to inspire kids to think about doing something else and educate people on another way of living, especially good food. Where does your food come from? Where do eggs come from? We don't sell eggs here. We do a lot of giving away of eggs to neighbors so that they can figure out where the eggs come from. They get to go to the box, and the kids get to pull out an egg, and it's all very exciting. And then the last thing is to relate to our neighbors. Some neighbors aren't too crazy about the goats, but we work really hard to keep them out of trouble. Because goats, when they get out of a fencing, they can be kind of trouble. But in general, they're interesting and gentle and playful creatures. And as one child said to me, she had never seen baby chicks before. When we had the chicks this spring, she looked in to the pen where they were, and she said to me, "They're so peaceful." And the city doesn't have much peace. And it's a very beautiful place that way, when the kids can come in and they can see something else other than what they see on the streets.
Christine, this is just amazing.
Yeah, this is our welcome garden. This is the first thing people see when they come to the
Well,
aquarium.
I mean, water and aquarium, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and this is a welcome to all of our visitors to see the water first and our natural landscape here in front of the aquarium.
Well, it's very hospitable. But you know, what's interesting to me is that, you know, you have this beautiful Greek Revival building from, I guess, the early 20s. It's very formal. But this landscape in front is very naturalistic.
Yeah, and this was a much more formal planting before we put in the waterfall. We had a scale garden developed by a landscape architect that you could only view from Google Maps. And so when the opportunity to have this great water feature came,
yes.
I killed it.
Well, you know, I love the fact that you killed it, because now it's three-dimensional. When you drive up, you have these beautiful stones, you have the water cascading, and then this naturalistic, well, palette of plants, all kinds of things that evoke, I guess, the prairie?
It evokes the prairie and then some, and it gives people an idea about how they can use native plants and nativars in their own landscapes,
right,
and be comfortable with them.
You know, I cannot take my eyes off the calamintha.
Yeah, I was going to just talk about the calamintha.
It's so beautiful
It's
today.
one of my favorite plants.
It's aromatic.
Yeah.
The honeybees love it.
And it changes during the season. It starts out this white cloud,
right,
and then it turns to a pink color, and then as the frost comes on, it's maroon and sky blue.
It's the perfect plant for almost any garden.
And it supplies a nectar source for all pollinators through the whole season.
Excellent. Christine, this is just gorgeous for an entryway, but help me understand this. I mean, here we are at an aquarium, world class, and there's so much emphasis on the landscape here.
Well, I developed our landscape to fully interact with our conservation mission.
I see.
So I took our mission from inside the building about
right,
conservation, and I gave people ways to take it home to their own backyards.
And so give me an example of the conservation effort with regard to these beautiful beans here. They look like a red asparagus bean, and you have Lady Godiva melons
and
here.
And they are beautiful, and why not have them in a place where people could see them instead of relegating instead of relegating the vegetable garden to the backyard. Put it in the front yard. These have ornamental value as well.
They certainly do. They're just gorgeous. And look at the fruits here. They're just beautiful. Look at that.
We grow a lot of food that we share with our animals, so we provide enrichment for our animals. We give squash blossoms and gourds and beans that we give to our lizards. They come out and graze on our organic lawn. And also, this is our group on turn, so all our school groups come in here. So we wanted to show all the kids where their food actually comes from.
Right.
People don't recognize.
So the moment they come in here, I mean, they really are beginning to learn something and being sort of infused into the culture here at the shed.
Yes. Being an aquarium, we're very concerned with having people understand the proper use of water, and so that's why I've developed a lot of gardens around the aquarium that don't use a lot of water. In fact, we have 3 or 4 spaces that we don't water at all.
Really? I see. And this seems to be the place where you help people understand the story of pollination. You have the beehives here beyond,
it's so
and they're
important.
all over these plants. It's such a beautiful thing.
When we first got the bees, people were concerned that we were going to have them up here where the school groups come in, and I said that's why we want them where the school groups come in.
And bees aren't aggressive. They won't hurt you unless you mess with them.
Exactly.
That's
it's the yellow jackets that bother you.
Well, I love the celosia, the globe amaranth, the verbena bonariensis. Now, are you completely organic here? We
are completely organic and have been for the last 15 years.
Oh, that is awesome.
No chemical pesticides or herbicides.
Wow, and look how beautiful everything is. This is so inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alan.
Hey, I hope you've enjoyed exploring this great city with me today, and I hope along the way you found some things that will inspire you to grow, cook, and design your life in a much more beautiful way. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications.